so much, and we need to find a way of solving real problems that we have. So let's take the schools. The schools are gonna have a levy this year. They have a levy that expires. The township is gonna have a levy this year because they've added more costs. They've decided to, well, one, they're responding to a real business need where they can no longer operate solely on a volunteer model. They need to pay firefighters and EMT. We have an aging community that requires more medical services from the fire department. They're rightly so to ask for money to pay for the services. We also need money. We need storm money. We need reciprocal tax. We need updated zoning and tapping fees. We have stretched all the efficiencies that they are to be stretched out of our organization. Like, there's no more efficiency. Like, there's no, we really do need to properly fund all of our activities. And so those are things that I would ask council, hey, let's work on the revenue piece, because this is the year to do it. Inflation is at 8%. We cannot ignore the fact that costs have gone up. We have worked hard to not have any utility increases. We haven't done water and sewer increases for 3 years, electric since 2021. That was the last rate and was already programmed. We need to do it now so that we're better prepared at least financially to handle the increase in costs that we're experiencing.
I'd like to address something really quickly, well, since everyone's here. With the discussion around overwork, everyone knows that you might as well just say me, because the other person isn't present. So there's that. And the singling out in an indirect manner isn't necessary. Sometimes we, as a team and individuals, work on things that do not come to fruition. And from the community, we were hearing from staff and council, this is from the community. I'm not talking about a certain famous person that lives here because I don't care. His money does not support me. Not anymore, I work for myself. We were saying affordable housing matters. We were saying housing for low-income people matters. We were saying that affordable housing matters. And we were being met with, or we felt we were being met with, well, all housing matters. So I just want to get that out there. That's the general consensus of the people that I spoke with. Is we were saying affordable housing matters. We were saying we want our parents and family members to be able to move back here. We want our retired mothers to be able to move back here. Young children with families that are in the service industry to be able to come and live and work here. So affordable housing matters, and we were met with all housing matters. And that's all I'll say about it.
So I'm gonna follow up on that.
I just want to stop for a minute, because I had asked for a space for staff to talk.
Right,
And
I'm gonna speak for staff. If I were staff, we joke sometimes about how often the word capacity or bandwidth is used. If I go to an attorney and pay them for advice, I'm gonna follow the advice. And I think we can stop using overwork as an example of anything other than a failure of process. With regard to that, I think it was, in my opinion, not abundantly clear what council's role was. That being said, we can't do it all. Planning Commission had a role, staff had a role, and I think going in, barring some strong reason for having my personal opinion, I adhere to the advice of legal counsel. Not, I was gonna say counsel, not us. But if I go to an attorney, legal counsel. If I come to the staff, what are your thoughts on this? You gotta really convince me to go differently than what staff says. So from a process perspective, I submit that the overvote was a failure of process. You know, I don't think, I mean, I was muted, I can't tell you what I was doing at home watching it. I just think everybody knows the things that happened, but I think that was a process failure. I think the result of the vote was a mistake. I think it should have, the PUD should have passed, but the way the votes were passed, I think was a process failure. When we ended up, we should maybe start over, or whatever. So I don't think we can use that as an example of anything other than a failure on one hand, and going forward, again, if the professionals, if the subject matter experts say the sky is blue, unless I have some overwhelming reason to differ, I'm gonna go with the advice of the experts. And, excuse me, and additionally regarding process, from a PUD perspective, I don't know if we need to modify some wording or something, but the process of approving a PUD, as complicated as the steps are, by the time it comes to us, it's yes, no. And we need to be answering the right question. Does this application fulfill the requirements of our PUD? Don't create another question to answer. Answer that question. That was the mistake.
Okay, so going back to what Mary Ann said, and maybe we've talked enough about over. Yeah, I'd like to hear other,
Maybe not.
or, you know.
Maybe we haven't talked enough about it.
Yeah, well,
That's how I feel, because I think for me, it rocked me, because I don't know what I'm supposed to think of all these studies that we've had. I mean, we had a Bowen study, and it showed all different types of housing. It wasn't just supposed to be affordable housing, of course. It was supposed to be all types of housing. Now, had they done it the way they wanted to do it, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, because they would have had larger homes still in the township, and they would have had single family on the rest of it. And there would have been nothing that we could have done to stop it, because it would have been through the major subdivision process. It was staff that pushed over to do the PUD, because we wanted to do something more creative. We wanted to have different types of housing, different styles of housing. It was frustrating because we had a hard time getting our message out there. I feel like people weren't listening, and there was a small vocal group of people that kept tromping on that. I mean, we couldn't say what we needed to say. And it wasn't cookie cutter. I've asked people to define what they mean by cookie cutter. You know, cookie cutter is a Ryan property where you get maybe 3 floor plans and that about the same amount of exterior facades. We had the opportunity to have 30 to 40 different floor plans and 120 different types of styles. At the end of the day, if you want to call something cookie cutter, call the Pocket Neighborhood Development that homing just go on Xenia Avenue cookie cutter, because those all look the same. But we love that, so I'm so freaking confused. I don't know what we're supposed to do as staff. That rocked my world, it did. Because we, Johnny, Josue, myself, you two on council, we put so much effort into this and tried to meet all the needs of the community, because we knew there were seniors that needed to get in smaller homes, so we knew the patio homes would work for them, that would open up other homes for families. We knew there were duplexes that very rich people would probably buy, both of them, and then rent out the other side. And we knew we had a little bit of land for a future affordable housing project. Most likely that would have gone to homing. Probably would have been another property development. And would have provided more than probably homing has right now in there. After how many years have they been in existence? 20 years, I think. They maybe have 30 different homes, or, you know, this would have provided up to 32. It was, yeah. So I think for me, as a staff person, I just am confused on why are we spending money on all these studies if we're not even following the studies? because staff definitely is following him. And that area of town, all this noise about, that was created about it, we've been planning that, that's been it's been known to be an area for decades, for development. So much so that even Miami Township put it as residential zoning. It was never meant to be green space. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Thanks, Louise.
Well, I like Denise, put a lot of time into it, but I can just tell you this. 21 and 22 have been rougher than 14 to 20, and I went through a lot of crap in those years and made a lot of advancements with the village. But at this point in time, I can't say that I'm happy with working here. I can't. And I have looked other places, because when we go above and beyond, and we keep going above and beyond, and we keep going above and beyond, and then add some more on top of it, and then all of a sudden, really, try better. I mean, I've worked 1.5 years on Ellis Pond. Here's another one, 1.5 years on Ellis Pond, getting it to where it is now, putting bridges in, making it a good place. I took it to the Environmental Commission. The Environmental Commission sent the people out and they said, hey, we ain't pond experts, go to the pond experts. So I go to the pond experts, now we've tried everything this way, and now all of a sudden they're like, hey, this is the last resort, it's gonna still be good, it's not gonna make it toxic. We can take care of this, but it's gotta happen now. And now I'm back to the Environmental Commission. So, I mean, I've wasted so much time, we've bought pumps, we've bought natural stuff. And for what? I mean, really, the only reason why we're doing so much now is because if somebody looks at it and it looks like shit, it's Public Works' fault. We can't turn around the trees no more. Why? Because there's a mower that's accidentally hitting it, or a weed eater that's accidentally hitting it. So now we mow a ring of 18 inches around the tree so my guys don't get blamed on Facebook for that. So why keep going above and beyond? And I'm only talking about feelings now. I'm getting ready to have a mass walkout because they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel like the village gives two crap about them. I'm in the same boat. It's like, why go above and beyond when we come to council and we're like, this is what we need, and can't do it this time. Cut your budget, do more. And by the way, we're not gonna add no more staff. So Josue's doing a great job at trying to manage all this, but at the same time, he's pushing on, hey, we gotta get this done, we gotta make this look better, we gotta do this. I mean, the lawn, we're giving stuff away free for people to make money with vendors just because they wanna have an event here and council feels it's a good thing to have. I agree, bring more people to town, but also cover our costs and maybe make a little bit of money on it. People were against that parking lot out back when I proposed at the council to turn the basketball thing. We had a council, people come to council about it, but you can come on a weekend and that daggone thing is full. So have a little faith in your staff, plus give us the resources. 4 years, maybe almost 5 years ago, Patty and I brought a storm tax to you, or a storm add $2 to their bills. If we'd have done that, we'd have been $250,000 under good right now, but guess what? We can't get crap done because we don't have the money. Again, I could have the sidewalks fixed and got the money. I've cut that budget 3 years in a row and still cut, because when something happens, that's always the first. Streets and parks are always the first ones that get put aside, and there's no money left. We need this, we need that, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. When council talks as a whole, and I'm being real now, so don't, when council, you all talk as a good game when we're all here. But when you put the pen to the paper, it's all show. Because once you guys leave this room, to be honest with you, to me personally, you guys don't give a shit about us. You don't give a shit about infrastructure. You don't give a shit about sidewalks until Mitzi Miller walks you around. I brought it to you 5 years ago. You don't give a shit. When you guys, gals, give a shit, this community would be a place that I come in 14. That's all I got to say.
Real quick,
Thanks, Johnny.
yeah, thank you. What is the thing that you and Patty came up with?
A stormwater revenue.
Okay. Where can I find that?
It's on the Choice Mountain study. Again, a study that we studied, and I've had to pull lots of little bits and pieces, can't do nothing,
Okay.
because we're handcuffed.
All right.
$2 a bill, and
We should have done it, I'm paying in Zinnia.
Mhm.
$2 for,
Everybody else.
everybody else is.
Columbus pays it, Dayton pays it.
I mean,